The Super Bowl. This is the World Cup of oysters today.
It's a delicate operation trying to lure oysters back to the bay and the trickle-down effect that scientists are hoping to see. It was a delicate operation today, trying to lure oysters back to San Francisco Bay. New at 6, KTVU's Mike Meebeck live in San Rafael with the trickle-down effect that scientists hope to see from their rehabilitation efforts. Mike?
And Frank, think about creating 1 billion oysters. Seriously, think about that, 1 billion, because that's exactly what's happening here, just about a mile northwest of the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge. New life brewing for the long-lost Olympia oyster. Just west of the Marin Islands, floating in the bay, is a boat named Walter.
I bought it off a gentleman because Walter McCarthy, and in his honor, we named the boat after her.
Mark Sutton owns it and is using it to build oyster reefs. Marine biologist.
This is the Super Bowl.
Marilyn Latta.
The World Cup of oysters today.
And so the story goes. Early 1900s, somehow the native oyster bed population in the bay started to disappear. And along with it, native species. And here we are, 100 years later, and something is finally being done about it. 300-pound mounds of oyster shells delicately descending 4 feet into the bay floor near the shores of San Rafael. The idea here, to create 4 large reef beds, providing the habitat needed to restore tens of millions of the small native Olympia oysters, known to marine biologists as habitat builders.
They provide sort of three-dimensional structure, a home, if you will, for species like Dungeness crab, herring, salmon, steelhead, marine mammals.
Some marine biologists say the life-giving reefs are functionally extinct across the state, but after 10 years of planning, $1.3 million in funding, and backed by state and federal agencies, the reef beds in the bay will slowly be coming back to life.
I think that oysters and other native species do things that are important, that are beneficial to humans, even if we aren't aware of them.
Eelgrass beds are also being planted, and biologists will monitor the progress of the oysters in eelgrass during the coming months. Reporting live here tonight in San Rafael, Mike Meebeck, KTVU, Channel 2 News.
Volunteers are rolling up their sleeves to restore oyster and eelgrass beds along San Francisco Bay. They'll be digging in at 2 locations along the Hayward and San Rafael shorelines. CBS 5 reporter Zach Heen on the project that will set the standard for future generations.
Ethan Livingston is the one in the water, putting thousands of Pacific oyster shells at the bottom of the bay.
So I'm pretty much down there just making sure that they're landing not on top of each other, not sideways. They're landing flat right on the bottom.
The California Coastal Conservancy and several other agencies hope to bring life back to the oyster and eelgrass reefs just north of the Richmond Bridge.
We're doing this to restore habitat, again, not only for oysters and eelgrass, but many other fish and aquatic species.
The oyster beds are crucial to bay life, like steelhead, salmon, crab, and even birds. A single oyster can filter up to 8 gallons of water a day, removing nitrogen pollution.
We also are interested in potential water quality improvements, and we're working with a team of physical scientists from PWA to study whether these reefs can actually buffer and protect the shorelines in the face of sea level rise and climate change.
Once a diet staple of Native Americans, the Olympia oyster population is nearly extinct. These aren't the farm-raised oysters you get at restaurants.
Currently, they're habitat limited. They don't have a place to live in the bay. They do exist in the bay habitat. They need more structure. So that's what we're doing, is building that structure.
They're putting out 500,000 individual oyster shells and plan on having 1 billion native oysters settling on the San Rafael shoreline. Zach Heen, CBS 5.